So I mentioned in the last video that I was going to put in some threaded rods to add strength to the centering rings, and so that has now happened. So you can see how that turned out. I did 1/4 inch holes I drilled through each of the centering rings, and I got this 1/4 inch threaded rod with little 1/4 inch nuts on each one. It kind of took forever to wind those nuts down, but the final product looks good, I think. And then I will add a bit of epoxy when I'm ready on the exact position of my little epoxy inside the threads of each of those nuts to freeze them in place. But that's the plan, and you can see that the bottom one will be positioned right up flush with the top fin, and then the top centering ring will be right here at the exit point where the airframe / motor mount comes out of the booster, and that'll be covered up then by this airfoil. And then the bottom centering ring will be this retainer that I built in the last video, which is going to go on here like that. So here's an overview of the project, what it looks like on Open Rocket. And as I mentioned in other videos, this is a very strange build, and I'm just making these videos for my own personal entertainment, but you're welcome to come along for the journey if you want. Well, I was glad to see that the motor arrived today that I'm planning to use. It's a CTI L910 C-Star. So it's a 2-grain motor. Here is the liner for it that came from Wildman, and the smoke element. I also grabbed a couple extra smaller motors while I was paying for the hazmat anyway. So these are a couple H225 White Thunders, which nice, good, all-purpose for smaller rockets. But for this Loch Ness Monster build, I'm planning to try it out first on a 2-grain 75mm L910, and I've got a 3-grain case for it here, which I'll supplement with 1 spacer since this motor is going to be 2-grain. And I have all the other hardware here, so I've got this forward closure, rear closure, the nozzle holder, and I've got a CTI wrench, which is often handy. So it'll be fun to assemble all that. And according to Open Rocket, this will be about right. It'll be a good about 8-to-1 thrust to weight ratio, going to about a mile in altitude. So that'll be about right for this first test flight that I'm hoping to do soon. And here are the 2 grains, the 75mm grains of the L910 C-Star, and I'll look forward to putting that together. You can see the O-ring inside each individually wrapped Ziploc, ready to be assembled. Okay, so here's a slight change of plans. It turned out that the 3/8 inch bolt that I put through here was going to be too big. This was going to hit up against it and not slide down far enough. So I've replaced it with this 5/16 with a T-nut on here, and then this long 5/16 inch screw. So that's what I have in here. And you can see it looking down the top. So same idea, there's a bolt going across and through the eye bolt of the 98mm Aeropack retainer. It's just an extra insurance anchor just in case somehow that eye bolt spun loose or the whole thing popped out. I just feel a little better having that extra. I wouldn't normally, for a minimum diameter rocket, it's designed to not need that, but it's just in my case, it's not minimum diameter. It's actually a heavier rocket with a 6-inch diameter frame around it, and I just feel more comfortable knowing that I have a little stronger anchor point. So that looks like this. So once I have those centering rings epoxied on, this is going to slide over it like this. And then coming up to this part, see I got the weld nut and then that long 5/16 screw that goes through there. And with that one, now this can slide over it to the necessary height that I need in order to be able to fit the tube on top of it. And here I'm just dry fitting the whole thing with one fin to make sure it's going to line up. So there's the retainer, and that's going to be the lower center ring flush up against the fin, and then it'll be another center ring that'll be flush up there. And then inside here I'll have eventually be a total of 5 center rings. I got one more here that's going to go on top before I install it. I just have to put in the rail button first. But that's the basic idea. It comes up here. This will be epoxy. This will be epoxied up here. I may also add some rivets just to be on the safe side here, and maybe I can just put a couple flat head screws through here just to ensure that that's not going off. But that's the basic idea, and the dry fit looks quite fine. And in other news, I got these awesome decals today in the mail from Mark over at stickershock23.com. He does an amazing job of providing proofs for you in email the day that you order them or right away the next day, and then he puts them in the mail as soon as you approve them. You can pick whatever color, whatever font you want. So this was a custom rocket, so I just made up my own color and font, but also he has patterns for all the major rocket builders out there, rocket kit manufacturers. So yeah, so this is going to be black letters on top of the red Wildman fiberglass, and as I mentioned a while back, I'm going to clear coat the whole rocket, which comes out nice. I'm not a very good painter, but you get a nice finish, and I think the black letters look cool on that nice dark red fiberglass once you do the clear coat. And then for the top of it, it'll say Loch Ness on the top half of the rocket. Those letters are going to be, those are silver letters on the decal, so it'll say Loch Ness Monster going down. So that's the plan for that. And by the way, on this older 3-inch rocket, I use these cool aluminum fins. They are called Max Q, and they're from Binder Design, and they got these awesome rivets, so you don't have to do fillets. And so it's great for kind of extreme projects, minimum diameter and all, but I also like them because, you know, everybody likes different things about the hobby. Some people really love doing their fin fillets. I don't. And so it was nice to do rivets and to know that, you know, they're safe and secure, but they also look nice. Whereas with standard fin fillets, which I'll be doing soon in this project, it takes, you know, a good amount of time. Some people really enjoy making sure those fillets are, you know, mirror smooth and perfectly proportioned and everything. Mine usually don't look that good. They will be safe and they will be stable and all that, but they're not going to be perfectly mirror smooth. I just like other things about the hobby than that. If that's your thing, great. It's not really my thing so much, but they will be safe and stable for flying.